Welcome to the weightlifting scoop. I got James Tatum here,
What's up, guys?
and we have Clint Darden and the House
What's
of
up?
and the House
The
of
House
Biceps.
of Biceps.
Oh, let's hear you say that. I know that's a famous line. I want to hear it all.
Hey guys, this is Clint Darden here with ClintDarden.com, and of course, the House of Biceps.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like it.
Well, welcome to the show, Clint.
Thanks for having me.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming on the show. You know, this is a good one. We're definitely really excited to have Clint on the show. Tell us a little bit about your strength background.
Oh man, as far as strength, I think I was kind of the average guy that began going to the gym when I was 16. I used to compete in martial arts, and I had torn the erectors across the left side of my back, and I began going to the gym just to get stronger for martial arts and for rehab. And then the next thing you know, I gained a little weight, looked a little bit better, kind of trained just, to look better for the girls, I guess. And then I realized that I loved things like squatting and bench pressing and rows and heavy stuff. So I just trained heavy for a long time. And I guess in 2001, I really feel old now. I began competing in strongman. And, it just kind of went from there. I spent in 2003, I believe, I turned pro in strongman. I was the first amateur to actually win a Pro-Am contest in the States. And then, moved to Cyprus and kind of fell in love with powerlifting. And I've got some pretty good powerlifting gym numbers for whatever that's worth. And then the next thing you know, I've spent the last year being neck deep involved in weightlifting.
So it really all started just to try to impress the ladies.
Absolutely. And I can't figure out now why my snatch and clean and jerks don't impress the ladies.
Give it time. So basically, you're living in Cyprus, but you're a U.S. citizen. Tell us a little bit about what brought you there. Why are you in Cyprus?
I met my wife at school in college, and my bachelor's, my 4-year degree was the greatest 8 years of my life, and my wife graduated on the same day as me, but that was her third degree. So we met in college, and we spent a year apart. Her being here in Cyprus and me being in the States, and then as soon as we finished that and the opportunity was right, I moved over here to Cyprus to be with her, and it was really the greatest opportunity for us to have a big start together. Was for me to come over here. So
she,
and I really thought I would come over here for 6 months, and the next thing you know, it's been 10 years next month.
Yeah, that's crazy. Time flies. Now she was going to school in the States.
Absolutely. She finished high school here with a degree in accounting and economics. And then she got a military medicine degree in Greece. And then she went to school in Hungary for 6 years and got a bachelor's and master's. And then she moved to the States. And then she got her second master's. And now she's finishing up her PhD in Scotland.
Dang, I'm impressed.
Yeah, I have no idea why she is with me. Absolutely no idea.
Well, you got you a smart one. Very.
I guess so.
It sounds like she's definitely very dedicated. So, yeah, it's crazy you ended out in Cyprus. You never know where, you met someone and they live in Cyprus. I bet it seemed a little crazy at first.
Well, really, it's, I met this really hot, small, and I'm 6'2", and at the time I was 300 pounds, and she is 5 foot tall on a good day. And when we met, she was about 100 pounds, maybe. And so, when I met her, all I cared about was that she was really, really hot. And everyone called her J-Lo. She said she was from Cyprus, and I have no idea. What city is, what state is Cyprus in? I don't know. So I had to go home and hit the Googles and figure out where Cyprus was. Still had no clue whatsoever. And even now we'll go places, and she has, her accent is much better, but it used to be really, really thick Greek accent. And we would be at different restaurants in the States, and somebody would say, ma'am, where are you from? And she said, oh, I'm from Cyprus. And I'd say, oh, Tennessee? Yeah, because people from Tennessee sound like that, But it's a great little island, man. It's warm all year. I had my top down on my car today. I've never been more than a week without having the top down on my car. And you can drive from one side to the other in about an hour and a half.
Yeah, we were down in Fort Lauderdale this weekend, me and Don McCauley, and putting on a clinic. And they were talking about the chilly, crisp weather, and it was 56 degrees.
Oh, that's cold.
We're like,
that is cold.
We're like, well, we went from being 15 degrees here in Charlotte when we left
it's cold
to
too.
56 degrees. So we thought it was hilarious because Don's from the north. He's from Rhode Island where it actually snows, and we're just making fun of the weather guys down there because they're like, oh, it's going to be very cold tomorrow, 56 degrees. So
absolutely, 56 degrees. That's, I mean, you've got the heaters cranked at 56 degrees. That is snow jacket weather at 56 degrees.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Only when you're near the equator.
Absolutely.
Yeah, in some places, if it snows 3 inches, everybody's at the store getting milk. But other places, it can be snowing, 20 inches and everything's still moving. I guess it just depends. It's all relative. But I guess we got a few questions and a few places we want to take this episode while we have Clint on with us.
Yeah, so I guess first, one of the questions we got, and it will kind of go along the lines of your background of being in powerlifting, and mostly powerlifting, and then the transition to weightlifting. Someone was asking about programming for both powerlifting and weightlifting, I guess to increase totals in both sports for your garage style lifter over 30.
Man, that's really, really complicated, and I'm not for sure. If your only goal was to just kind of play around in either sport, I think that's absolutely perfect, and it's great to do because I think it's hard advice to give. I think that you can use one sport to help with another one, but you can't give 100% to each sport. You do have to separate the two because they are somewhat counterproductive. So you have to decide which one you really want to be great at. And the best thing that I've been able to do is I have my fun Sundays. And so when I go to the gym on Sundays, I really do whatever the heck I want to do. And lately that's been ridiculously heavy box squats in full gear, or as full gear as I'm going to go, and heavy deadlifts. And then I'll finish up with some reps on the bench press. And if somebody's loading Atlas stones or flipping tires or something like that, I'll go out there and play and do whatever I want to do. The problem with that is that the deadlift absolutely kills my lower back and hamstrings. And usually I can't do anything with my back and hamstrings for about 3 days. And that's perfectly fine for powerlifting because in powerlifting, you're probably going to rest a couple days and then you're going to come back and bench press. 3 days after heavy squats. Whereas with weightlifting, I need to be back in the gym the next morning doing snatches and cleans and pulls. And I can't do that when my back is tore up. And then if I want to go out and load Atlas stones, that absolutely fries my biceps and everything around my biceps, which if all I need to do the next day is squat or bench press, it's not that big of a deal. But I've got to have amazing accuracy and with flexibility with all of those muscles the next day to snatch and clean and jerk. So the best thing I've done is on Monday, all I do is go in and warm up. It's just a flexibility day. I get in there and I do like 5 sets of 2 on snatch with 50 kilos. And that's it with each lift. And then I might finish off with some pulls on each if I feel good. But it's really, really hard to combine the two. But the thing is, if you're beginning, I think it can be easy because, I mean, like I've spoken with you guys before, some of the coaches here, when I go in and say, okay, I want to learn how to snatch, the only thing they're concerned with is, one, can I sit? Can I sit in the bottom position and be relaxed? And as a power lifter, when I began, it's impossible.
Oh, yeah.
I could barely get anywhere near parallel, and my head was about to pop off. But without a bar or anything. And the other thing is, can I squat? And if I can't squat with proper technique, and if I can't sit in the bottom of a squat without a barbell and be totally relaxed, then that's my only priority. So the chances are, if you're beginning weightlifting, you come from a powerlifting background, the only thing you need to do is at the end of your powerlifting sessions, or multiple times every single day, just squat with an empty barbell. While you're working or playing on the computer or watching TV or playing with your kids on the floor, just set in a squat position. And don't think about that tight powerlifting squat. Try to set in a relaxed position in the floor. And that's really the majority of what your training is going to be right off the bat. And then after that, you're going to spend a couple of months trying to learn the positions. And it's going to take you a long time before you're actually able to train in weightlifting. So the two, it's not really going to matter. But if you're over 30, then you've probably been training for quite a while. And if you've been training for a long time and you don't have a pretty good handle on how much volume and intensity your body can take and when to back off, then there's probably something wrong there. You can pretty much measure and have a good guide on how to measure volume. And so like I said, I think you have to look at your programming and figure out what's most important. Be honest with yourself and where you are in each sport.
Yeah, I think too, something that you touched on is that especially for a beginner weightlifter, it's not really about the programming. It's mostly about technique, being able to get into the positions and getting those before you actually ever get strong and snatching and clean and jerking.
Of course. And that's, if I go back and look at my videos, the first day I ever went to the weightlifting center here, I snatched 105. And I hurt so bad everywhere that I couldn't snatch for about 2 weeks, but I did 105. So really what point did that make? Because really in weightlifting, if you can't do it consistently, it doesn't really matter. You have to be able to hit the positions consistently. You have to be able to hit, 90% consistently, 95% consistently, or it was probably just a fluke. And it took me months of training to beat 105. And I thought I was really doing something great. Just go in there and do something hard and heavy with bad technique. And boy, was I wrong. I was totally wrong.
Well, before I forget, this is kind of changing gears a little bit, but you spent some time with Norik Vardanian, and I saw this video where you had him trying to pick up a tractor scoop.
Yes.
And I just thought that was interesting because I think in anything there's technique involved when you're picking up anything. And he kept asking you, "Hey, Clint, tell me the technique." And you said, "No, I got to be better at something." And
absolutely.
And so I thought that was funny because, I would imagine it's the same way when you start strongman or anything else. You have to learn the technique of how to maneuver certain objects.
Of course. And Norik's been here, and we've hung out quite a few times in the last 6 months. I actually talked to him a couple of hours ago. He said hello to you guys. And but he came here, and not to make fun of him, but I'm going to make fun of him. And he could not flip my 350 kilo, 770 pound tire. Could not flip it. I don't know if he could flip it to save his life. And I was not about to go out there and help him. He was, it was his first day at the gym. I didn't really know him. He showed up and couldn't flip it. And, we began talking after that. And he said, "Man, that tire is really difficult." I said, "Well, that's a really odd shaped tire, but I can flip it with one arm." And he gives the classic Norik, ha ha ha, sort of laugh.
Yeah.
And I was like, "No, really, I can flip it with one arm," and I can. And so then he's wondering, what kind of person I am. And then he comes inside and we're doing deadlifts, and he starts doing power cleans and jerks with what everybody else is deadlifting. So it was really, really interesting. And then we got to some of the strongman events, and he absolutely couldn't do it. We got to the Viking press, and I think he got a single at 140 kilos. And I think I've done like 12 reps with 140 on the Viking press. And then we got to the scoop, and the scoop was 75 kilos, and I've done like 15 reps with it or something, and he couldn't do one. But so much of that is technique. And of course, the moment that I show him the technique and he begins to put his skill into it, then he's just going to blow me out of the water. But it's absolutely, with everything, there's skill and technique.
Well, I thought that was a great representation of, just the difference between weightlifting and strongman, and that technique matters so much no matter what you're doing, whether it's, any skill, guitar, golf, piano, strongman, powerlifting. I mean, there are techniques involved. So when you start anything, when you start learning the guitar, you're learning techniques, where to hold your hands. Any skill you learn, you got to start at the bottom. And I think sometimes people view weightlifting as a macho sport, and they want to just lift the weight. Whereas, if you want to learn how to lift a certain amount of weight, yeah, maybe you can lift the most weight that you're capable of. If you just max out every day with bad technique, you'll get better to a certain point, but you're not going to reach the apex of your potential.
Oh, absolutely. It's a great way to get hurt as well. And
Mm-hmm.
that's, the more I get involved with weightlifting, the more I have a respect for other lifters and what I see on YouTube. 9 months ago or a year ago, my training partners would send me a video of somebody doing, a 180 kilo snatch. And I'm thinking, okay, that's cool, but it's still just 180 kilos. I don't have an understanding of what goes into that. And now, 1 year of training later, I have a much deeper appreciation of the ability for someone to have perfect technique with an all-time lifetime personal record on the bar. And it's such an underappreciated skill. My wife thinks that powerlifting, especially the deadlift, is not technical at all. It's just skill. The first day she come to the gym, she deadlifted 225 pounds, 102 kilos. And then the next time she deadlifted, she did the exact same thing. And the next time she did the exact same thing. And I'm like, now what are you going to do? Now you're going to have to figure out your technique and do something correctly. But I think you really have to be involved in a sport before you can start to really appreciate, the beauty and the skill and the hours that it took to develop what you see on a video or on a platform.
Now, with CrossFit, I would say that weightlifting.
Oh no.
well, no, not related to CrossFit, but just in general. I mean, weightlifting's become more popular, so there are more people that did powerlifting, and James was one of those people. I don't know if he changed because of CrossFit, but it's just one of the modes that people start changing over to Olympic weightlifting as it gets a little more popular. So obviously you're struggling with flexibility and you're spending a lot of time on that. Now, explain some of your struggles, like some things that you're working on, advice to people switching sports.
Gosh, I could go on for days, and that's, it's been a major struggle, and that's been the worst thing. I keep telling myself that if I could just be pain-free for a week, that I could make some amazing progress. I spent so many years with powerlifting, and we talk about mobility, and mobility for powerlifting it's actually a very negative thing. You only want your range of motion through your shoulders and elbows to be the exact distance that you're going to have to press the barbell on a bench press. Anything more than that is actually detrimental to your bench press. You want your hips and back to be so physically tight that hitting parallel or whatever contest depth is for you it should be really, really freaking hard. And your back flexibility should be basically so little that getting to the bar in a deadlift, it feels like you've got a deadlift suit on. I mean, it should be difficult. That way you should be able to drive speed off the floor. I spent months, literally probably 6 months, and I would be almost ready to pass out just trying to get my hands into a hook grip on the barbell for the snatch. And my training partners keep saying, they're saying in Greek, relax your hands, relax your arms, relax your arms. And I can't, because I'm literally pulling myself down to the barbell, just trying to get in that position. And people keep saying, well, you're using your arms, try lifting with straps to see if it will help you learn the pull without using your biceps and arms in the lift. And I would be about ready to pass out because it takes me so long to get down to the bar, and then I've got to spend 20 seconds getting my straps on. I'm sweating just from getting my straps on. It's an impossibility.
And this is actually one thing that I was talking to people about in the seminar, because I did a mobility section, and I was like, the less flexible you are, the more taxing every lift is going to be, and it's going to be
Absolutely.
way harder to recover from because you're spending a lot of energy just to get into position.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Tons of energy. And now I can get down to the bottom of the snatch, and I can get to the bar and get my hands in place and readjust, and I can sit and relax. And, really the only way I've done that is I spend a lot of time in my house with my son in the middle of the living room floor. I mentioned earlier we don't have a television, so we spend a lot of time in our living room with a fireplace, and we talk like what families should do. And my son and I build Legos in the middle of the living room floor, and I just try to sit in a squat position. And I just, I roll my hips and push my knees here and push my knees there. I sit the absolute best that I can for as long as I can. But it's been a struggle, and I get really frustrated because people would come to the gym and say, you just need to do this for a couple of weeks. They hand me a PVC pipe and just say, you do some shoulder dislocates and you're going to be fine in a couple of weeks. Well, that's not the case. People would say, and I got really frustrated because I saw that exact same thing with the shoulder dislocates with Glenn on a video of his.
Mm-hmm.
And he was saying, if you do this, and he said 6 weeks. He honestly said, if you do this repeatedly, multiple times every single day for 6 weeks, you will see great improvement. And I had major issues doing stuff like that because just the stretching alone would leave me in so much pain that I really couldn't effectively train for several days later.
Yeah, I mean, I went through like a yoga routine for a while, and I stuck with it, and I was stretching really, really hard. And I have to say, stretching, it takes some recovery. You put your body in some extreme positions. It takes a long time for your body to recover, and you'll feel really sore.
Yeah, I don't think people realize too that stretching is actually, quite a complicated thing. It's not like you could just go in and stretch. People give me crap a lot because I have a very short stretching routine and get into position, and they're like, "Oh, whatever, James, you don't stretch, you don't know anything about it." But I don't think people realize that, like, it's not just like, "Oh, go to yoga," like that. There's a lot of information about stretching. Like, if you just go get like not your average like little picture book for stretching, but you get an actual informative book on stretching. I think people would really be surprised at how much there is into stretching, and how something like saying, "Oh, do this for 12 weeks and you'll get more flexible," is not always the case. It almost never is. Because you got so many things going on, and then years of powerlifting or strongman. It's hard to come out a lot of those things.
Now,
of course, I look at, I've torn both hamstrings, torn my right one twice. I've torn my pec. I don't have a right tricep tendon, torn my right bicep, both rotator cuffs, both lats, tendon in my right foot. I've broken every finger on both hands, all my toes. That's just what I can think of off the top of my head.
Good Lord, man.
That's standard. I've been competing in sports since I was 4 years old, and I'm 36.
Yeah.
And stuff just happens. And when you're a competitive athlete, something hurts. Well, you got to get back out on the field. So you wrap it up and go. And in powerlifting, I only have to hit parallel anyway. I don't really have to be super flexible to do powerlifting. So I don't know. I really went through a time period, over the summer and the last few months where people have just commented on my videos and said, "Wow, all of a sudden you got a lot more flexible. What is your stretching routine like?" And really, I just quit stretching altogether. I decided that I wasn't going to do anything unless there was a barbell in my hands. And that's simple. That's squats, whether it was snatch, balance, just simple pressing overhead from behind the neck, push press overhead from behind the neck with an empty barbell or a broomstick, just nonstop. But the stretching really beat me up so bad that I wasn't able to do any kind of training in the gym. So, it seemed like if I changed stretching and made it mobility work, just like what I would have done in powerlifting. In powerlifting, if you're having problems hitting depth in the squat, you lower the box a couple of inches and box squat a little bit lower, that sort of thing. So, I just kind of said, hey, I've got to get the bar behind my head. So that's the way I'm going to stretch. I'm going to have a bar and I'm just going to keep pushing it behind my head. And I found out that even as strong as I am, I had a lot of weaknesses, that it really wasn't just flexibility. There were a lot of problems in my rear delts, that I didn't have the muscles to support an empty barbell behind my head.
It's kind of amazing. No matter how strong you get in certain things, you always have some of those muscles that you don't even think about, that you're like, holy crap, like I'm extremely weak in this, and I would have never thought it.
It's amazing. It's amazing, and I think that's a great thing. It's a blessing once you find something. Once you find a weakness. So many people get really upset and they avoid training that weakness. But once you find it, once I discovered that, I've got really weak rear delts and everything through my upper back, it's strong enough to deadlift 800 plus. It's strong enough to lift a 500-pound Atlas stone, but it's not strong enough to press an empty barbell behind my neck and support it behind my head. So but then all I have to do now is start pressing behind my head, just get stronger at that. And that's going to solve so many problems. And it has. So if you find a weakness, just hammer away at it. Be excited you found a weakness. The worst thing that can happen is you have a weakness and not know what it is. Because then you don't know what to do.
Before we get too far into weaknesses, because that's definitely one thing we wanted to cover pretty extensively, I found that if I use a PVC pipe to do dislocates, I don't really make a lot of progress in my shoulder flexibility. So what I like to do is use that of my mode of measurement for progress and use a band for my mode of progress, because it's hard to measure your progress with the band. So I actually use like just one of those green bands to do pass-throughs. And I did shoulder dislocates with a PVC pipe for about 2 months and didn't really see very much progress. And then for 2 weeks, I used the band, and I went back to the PVC pipe, and I had made tons of progress. So,
wow. So you think using the bands is more productive, or do you think it just needs to be switched up more often?
I think the bands is how you get better at it, and the PVC pipe is how you measure it.
Wow. I'll start with the bands tomorrow.
So, yeah, I mean, give it a shot. I think you definitely feel more of a pull. And you can pull the band apart so it actually like makes the right muscles fire that need to. And I don't know, I really like band pass-throughs a lot.
Yeah, something else with the bands I think that is useful is that because it stretches, it almost prevents you from overstretching. And then, of course, overstretching, I mean, then you're just damaging the muscle too much and not really increasing flexibility, but
yeah, I just wanted to throw that in there before we got away from flexibility altogether. But as far as weak links go, I 100% agree. You have to attack weaknesses, and as so addressing this from the side of a power lifter turning to weightlifter, you've obviously addressed some of the weak links and probably have more. But seeing good weightlifters train, you train with some good weightlifters. You've seen Norick train. You watch our videos. Are there some things that you feel like Olympic weightlifters maybe don't even think about that they could benefit from doing?
I really hate to criticize a sport that, I mean, just in the last 6 months, not just training with Nort, but I've also trained with Morgan Ask, who will be 65 next month.
Yeah.
And next month will be his 51st year of competing. And he's
awesome.
A world silver medalist and European champion. Denise Offerman is here in Cyprus. She's got multiple European titles, and she was a world champion last year in the Masters category. Of course, Norik was here. Oksana Slavenko was here last week, and I'll be seeing her much more often. The Swedish national team has been here twice. The guys that I train with have been to Commonwealth Games multiple times with medals. The European champion in 2012 in the 62 kilo category lives 40 minutes away from me, and he trains with me very often. And, so I have been around some amazing lifters in a very short period of time, probably more than anybody else really has the opportunity to be around, especially as a beginner. As far as weaknesses, I don't know. It's, programming for weightlifting is really, really difficult, especially when you find a weakness and that weakness is strength. It's really, really difficult to program that. I'll tell a quick one on, because this has happened several times. Oksana came last week to train, and if you don't know who she is, you just need to figure out who she is. She's pretty much the best ever in the women's 62 kilo class. And she just came to train at my gym last week. So she embarrassed us all inside with snatch and pulls and clean and jerk and things like that. And then, we decided to go out and load some Atlas stones. And I've got a 160 pound Atlas stone, and she couldn't load it. So my wife gets all excited because my wife has loaded it, and my wife is in the same category as Oksana. So we're pushing her to load the stone, and finally she does load the stone. And I'm telling her, but you're doing it with wrong technique. So I go to help her with the technique, and I say, okay, come over here. I'm going to help you with technique, and we're going to show you how to do this properly. And she said, no, I don't want to. That was really hard. I'm like, I told her, you're a world champion at weightlifting. You're probably the best ever. You're not going to tell me that this is hard. Get over here and let's do the stone again. So then she goes back over there and nails it. I mean, with authority, nails the stone with much better technique, and she was really excited. And I've seen guys with the Swedish national team have difficulty as well. There's a difference there. It's not really a weakness, but there's a difference there with weightlifting. You have kind of that impulse of force that is very, very quick and short. Whether it's on the snatch, it's that kind of like that turbo moment where all the magic happens.
Exactly, yeah, that second pull, boom.
Exactly, and with powerlifting, that you don't really have a turbo. You just got a kind of a different size engine with a much slower movement. So you have to get used to applying force over a very long period of time, especially when compared to weightlifting. And with strongman, you're probably going to do an event for 75 seconds at least. So it's a different kind of strength. So I can't really say there is a weakness there, because a lot of the lifters that I've trained with are so much better than me. And the elite lifters, the really, really elite lifters, they really have so few weaknesses. So much of what they post, of what their training is on the internet and what you see in their videos, that's just a very small snippet, a highlight reel of what their training was for that day.
That's also interesting to say because, we post videos of our team and we usually only post the snatches and clean and jerks for singles or doubles because, most of the other stuff is kind of boring to watch over it's going to make the video very long. So people end out kind of getting the idea that we only do snatches and clean and jerks for singles, which a good portion of our program is that, but that's certainly not the only thing. We definitely know that squatting and pulling and all those kind of things are going to lead to higher totals. So.
Right. And everybody great that I've trained with, they finish off every training session with what they call bodybuilding. And they spend a lot of time just, with the barbell, 5 kilos aside, 10 kilos aside, strict behind the neck presses, some forearm work, wrist work, some light tricep work, some easy bench pressing, stuff that they do after every single training session. Beginning every training session with abs and lower back and things of that nature. that nobody ever really talks about and that you don't see on training videos. But I can't really say there is a weakness in it. I can just say that there are differences. There are things that I can beat a weightlifter in, but it doesn't really matter because a weightlifter is never going to compete in strongman or in powerlifting. But I do think that the beginner weightlifter probably has a lot of weaknesses because you have the one side that just focuses on technique. You have that guy that goes in the gym that only uses 50 kilos, and they forgot that they're supposed to get strong too. They forgot that they need to spend years doing squats and pulls, and probably rows and presses of all kinds to get strong. And then you have the guys like me who did nothing but get strong, and they want to go in the gym and just display the strength they have, and they forgot that they need the years of technical practice. The elite level guys have so few weaknesses, but you see all the guys that are on, my level, the beginner, intermediate, whatever, and I'm still beginner, hopefully, and all the guys that are in their home gyms and garage gyms, most of the time they're forgetting one of those two. They're either forgetting they need to go build some serious strength, or they're forgetting they need to go build some serious technique.
So for a weightlifter, do you think there would be an advantage to being able to apply force over an extended period of time, such as a really grind-out squat or a grind-out deadlift? Or do you think that instantaneous strength, I guess James calls it reactive strength, is that the term that you were using before?
Yeah,
that's good. I like that term. I'm going to use that, by the way. I'm going to probably make a video and title it Reactive Strength, so be prepared.
Excellent.
I don't know. I mean,
I guess this is kind of the age-old question that everyone in weightlifting debates about over and over and over. So no one really knows, but just being from a powerlifting background, I thought you might have an interesting take.
So something that I might say about that, we'll see if you could say anything else about this after. But with like clean and jerks, I tend to have a very strong pull because coming from powerlifting, my pull was one of my better lifts. And sometimes I'd be pulling on a bar and like it wouldn't have even broken the floor yet. And then I'm like thinking, oh man, this is heavy, but I'm just going to keep pulling. And then it might take 10 seconds for me to lift the bar. And this was when I was beginning powerlifting. And so you kind of learn that grind from doing those pulls. And something that I feel like it transferred over to weightlifting for me is, especially on the clean, is that sometimes like I have to slow myself down because I'm cleaning and I'm thinking, oh, this is only 160 kilos. I can rip this off the floor really easily. I have to think of fighting to hold position, not going too fast, but only like almost grinding out, even though the clean pull is a little bit faster than a deadlift. I'm thinking more of just fighting to hold position and kind of grinding through, holding that position rather than picking it up off the floor the easiest.
I feel like I'm listening to myself. That's really the only way that I think I can do a clean that's halfway decent or a clean pull is I have to make everything really slow. I talk about the point of impact on lifts. And with the deadlift, the point of impact, and that's the point where you put that. What is it? The reactive. What's the term?
Oh, the reactive strength.
The reactive strength. You have that reactive moment, or you have that point of impact for the deadlift is off the floor, and that is where you put all of your power and all of your speed and all the pressure on a deadlift is off the floor, and you create so much speed at that moment where the bar starts to move that it's going to carry you through the entire lift. And that gets me in trouble with the cleans because if I am not technically perfect, and I start it really, really fast, then it's only going to get worse. The technique is just going to get worse. And then if I start from the floor really fast, I have no explosion as that bar gets anywhere near my knees or above because I've already hit that point of impact off the floor on the clean.
Yeah.
So it's like I can't hit it again. I can't have any explosion, whatsoever. But that's, my training partner, he usually either says two things for me. One of it is, no, that was terrible. Or he'll say, okay, the technique was good, but it was way too slow. And that is simply because I found that I can have better technique if I slow everything down from the floor. And I kind of hit that technical sweet spot a little bit better. And then I'm able to have, a little bit of that, that kick once the bar gets around my knees.
Yeah. Getting a feel for that rhythm, the rhythm of the lift. Yeah.
Man, it really is confusing. On Sunday, I deadlifted 800 on Sunday, and then tonight's Tuesday night, and I did an ugly clean with 100 kilos, and it feels so different. They're really nothing like each other.
So if you were to do a deadlift, a clean deadlift through a clean movement, bar coming in, low hips at the start, finishing at the power position at the top. If you were able to do a bigger weight slow, do you think? So say I was able to do a 600-pound clean deadlift, but somebody else could only do a 250-kilo deadlift, so 550 pounds, so 50 pounds difference. Do you think that you'd be able to move 200 kilos, 440 pounds faster by having a bigger deadlift, or not necessarily?
See, there's so many things that factor into that. I mean, if all things else are equal, sure, but all things are rarely ever equal.
Oh, yeah.
Because you have athletes that are faster, or they have better coordination, or better technique. So if everything else was equal, of course, I think if all you managed to do was somehow get stronger, it's got to get better.
Mm-hmm.
For me, the big verbal cue that really helped me on my cleans and with my snatches, I had to do two things. All I had to do was make a pull, because I can make a really good snatch pull and a clean pull. Absolutely beautiful with a lot of weight.
Mm-hmm.
And then all I have to do is tell myself, don't snatch this, just pull it and then fall.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I want to do. And if I can get myself to do that with the snatch and the cleans, then I can do really, really nice lifts. I mess up the lift if I do anything in between. So if I could snatch pull a lot of weight, and then all I have to do is be able to fall under it. Of course, that's me pulling myself under it actually, but
Right.
In my mind, I tell myself just to fall under it. Then I don't see how. I mean, it can't hurt. It absolutely can't hurt. But to give you I did. I went in. One of my teammates at Elite FTS. I hope he listens to this. He was bragging about Klokov, really bragging and kind of poking into my side a little bit, how impressive his 600-pound snatch grip deadlift was. And I really couldn't believe that a power lifter would be impressed at anyone doing any kind of deadlift with 600 pounds, no matter what the grip is.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't see what the big impressive thing was. So I went in the gym, and I think the first time I ever snatch grip deadlift, I did wear a belt, no straps. I did 550 for a triple. So then I went in the gym the next time in the gym after my teammate, kind of pissed me off, and I pulled 280 kilos. I don't even know what that is in pounds.
I saw the picture of that, actually. I remember seeing a picture of that on your Facebook.
If you get a chance, the video is amazing as well, because my son is sitting behind me, and I'm yelling and screaming and doing my thing, and I hit this big snatch grip deadlift, and everybody in the gym is just, their mind is blown, and my son never even looked. He's just sitting in the chair. He could care less.
The one person
about
probably wanted to care.
Yeah, that's the one person I hope picks up something out of all of this. But yeah, I think I don't think doing a deadlift is going to have any kind of carryover to your weightlifting lifts. I shouldn't say any, but it's not going to have a lot. But I've heard you guys before. I've listened to most of your podcasts. I've heard you guys before say if you're going to do if you want to do a deadlift, do it like you're clean. If or do it just like your snatch and get stronger. Mm-hmm. But you've got to get stronger in that movement. A lot of people keep saying, "Man, Clint, you're so freaking strong." And the thing is, I'm not really strong. I'm just good at the lifts that I know how to do. I know how to use the exact muscles that need to be used on the squat and nothing else. I know how to use the exact muscles that need to be used on the deadlift, as well as the bench press and a lot of the strongman events, and nothing else. So then you switch me over to the cleans and the snatches, and I don't know how to use those muscles, or at least not in the right order.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you got to teach yourself to use the right muscles for the lift, and so the snatch and the clean deadlift, you're getting strong in the exact bar path. Even though the movement is slowed down a lot, you're getting strong in that bar path, which is great. Now, so one of the problems that I have, and James has been helping me out with this a little bit, is I have a hard time getting my back set at the start of a snatch or a clean, in which case I think I'm losing like some of my posterior chain in the lift, which, in the snatch and clean and jerk, that's obviously pretty important. So I feel like I'm losing a few kilos there. What are some things that you would advise someone to do who can't keep their back tight or arch their back in the start? Because you want to use your back as the stabilizer.
Yeah, the stabilizing, rather than having your erectors doing the work and the moving, not making them the movers, having them just stabilize, and then your hamstrings and hips doing the work.
Well, I for a long time, I would finish my training sessions. My lower back would just be absolutely pumped because I couldn't get to the bar without rounding my back. And then as I came up, I would hit that arch as I came up and got the flexibility. So do you have the same issues when you're doing the lift from blocks?
No, and I'm actually able to do more from the hang and blocks because of that, because I'm able to keep my back tighter. Because probably to a lesser extent than when you started, I had the same thing. Like, my back is a little rounded, my erector's straighten, and then as the bar passes my knees, that's when I get the arch in my back. So at heavy weights, when I can't establish that arch at the knee, I miss the weight. And when your back's not tight, you're not as snappy under the bar. So when you're slow under the bar at a maximum and new PR attempt, you're gonna miss it.
Man, I really hate to give you guys advice. That's just really that's probably a really, really terrible idea. I mean, without looking at it, there are so many things that could go wrong. I mean, is it ab strength? Is it not knowing how to use it at the right time? Is it flexibility? Because if you can do that from blocks, and you don't have that issue from the floor, it makes me think it's probably a flexibility issue more than just a strength issue.
Definitely majority flexibility. But once I get the flexibility, I have to strengthen it. I guess James has been helping me out. We've been doing good mornings, starting out just with a bar, and he's like, get that arch as tight as you can get it. As soon as that arch lets go, which at first it was only a few inches, come back up immediately. So I've been sticking with that. I found out that my hamstrings were actually a lot tighter than I thought, just because everybody was always like, oh, are your hamstrings tight? And I could put my hands on the floor, but that's because I'm rounding my back,
Well, this may sound absolutely crazy. Do you guys have a safety squat bar?
No, we don't.
Yeah, we actually don't.
Okay, well, you could. You don't have to have a safety squat bar. I just prefer it because it takes the stress off the shoulders. You could take a bar and make what I call a strap bar, and just take a pair of straps and tie it around the bar so it has kind of handles in front. You've seen guys like front squat that way.
Yeah.
So they can kind of grab that. You could do a straight bar, or you could put the straps on the bar and then hold it just like a safety squat bar. But I think I wouldn't do the good mornings from the top down. I would do the good mornings with the plate setting on boxes. And you have to play with the point to where you start losing your arch. I don't know if this is making any sense, but I would have clients do chain suspended good mornings to help their deadlift, because the deadlift is breaking it off the ground.
Yeah.
It's not starting at the top and going down. So you kind of have to have an idea where that point is where you're losing your arch. And that's kind of where you want the barbell to be set up if it was on your shoulders instead of your hands. And I would do the good mornings from the bottom position up. Now, for my clients that I work with in powerlifting, I would tell them to add bands to the bar because it's going to help them be more explosive, and those bands will mostly, with the good morning, it's going to try and pull the arch out of your spine. So I don't know if that would even be something worth considering, but if you're doing good mornings, I would give honest consideration to doing bottom position good mornings over the top down good mornings. And I would really look to push the weight with something close to what you're snatching. I think
Yeah.
that's something you could do, and do it for singles, doubles, or triples. But never do an ugly rep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Never,
Yeah.
ever do, an ugly rep. You've got to learn to have, whether it's your abs or your back or your hamstrings, and you're probably going to learn just from that process what the weak link is, because you're going to step back and say, geez, that killed my abs or my
Yeah.
hamstrings or my back is actually, your back's probably not even going to get tired at all, because your back is probably going to be fixed before you even move it. You're probably going to realize, hey, I'm moving this weight with my fill in the blank, hamstrings, glutes, quads, which could be a huge mistake, or abs or something like that. But give it a try. It may be a crap, may not do anything at all. But
Yeah, I like the
I would
idea.
definitely try it.
The idea of having it starting at the bottom, kind of more of a direct transfer over to what he's trying to make it do in the end, is actually picking it up off the floor. So
Yeah, I started out and I was doing reverse back hypers, which I had done very few times before. Reverse back hypers, good mornings, and GHD back extensions with a bar. And when I started out, just reverse back hypers, just even with air, doing 10 reps, I mean, my lower back would be on fire.
No kidding.
Which I thought that was crazy, because I'm a 600-pound squatter, and I mean, for my body weight,
Right.
a high bar back squat, that's pretty strong for a weightlifter.
It's strong for anybody. I
And,
don't care who you are.
Yeah, so I was honestly like, very, very surprised that my lower back and hamstrings were as weak as they are, because I never really thought that before. I knew that I couldn't tighten my back, and it's something that I've worked on in the past, but never really implemented certain exercises. So I'm excited to potentially fix that weakness over this year. It's one of my big goals, and it's frustrating because it takes away from my lifting a bit. And when you see a lot of people hitting PRs in the gym, you got James over here going nuts, and Morgan going crazy, and everybody's been hitting PRs of some sort. So it's frustrating to like take 10, 15 kilos off your lifts to work on a weakness. But I mean, that's, if you don't fix your weakness, you're never going to reach your potential. So.
Well, I really hope people pick up something for what you just said, because you guys are the guys that people look up to in weightlifting in America. And, you are saying, man, this is frustrating. And I mean, I really hope that people listening to this really understand, what you just said, that, the best guys in our country are saying this is frustrating, and they're having the same problem as everyone else. But then again, you've got a weakness. You're, pretty much identifying what it is, and you've got this huge opportunity to get out there and fix it.
Yeah.
Because that's all you have to do now is go out there and fix it. And then, and then James is going to be saying, man, what the heck's up with Travis, man? Now he's blowing me out of the water,
Oh, now I got to go find something wrong with me and then drop my weight now. No, but I mean, if you've never experienced that, where all your lifts drop because you're not attacking a weakness, and it's not like draining you of everything, you're missing out. I mean, because everyone's going to have one. It doesn't matter who you are.
Well, that's the point where most people quit.
Yeah.
I mean, that really is the point where people go to a contest and they realize, they got beat, and realize they're not great. And, or they go back to the gym and they get tired of spending, I mean, like me, I train about 30 hours a week, and it really sucks because I haven't hit a PR since my contest in November, beginning of November. So I haven't even gotten anywhere near a PR in anything. And that's really, really frustrating to spend 30 hours a week with what feels like no paycheck at the end of it, because I really want to get paid with PRs.
Well, here's something that I say at the seminars, and so view your max as the one that you can do with good technique. So I've seen the pictures. You're definitely hitting PRs in the weights that you're getting to a squat snatch and a squat clean. I mean, your positions do look a lot different. So, maybe you could have continued to power snatch it however and hit 130 or 135, 140, whatever. But at the end of the day, you're hitting PRs in the full squat snatch, full squat clean.
Well, I appreciate that. It is really hard. I went and trained. I've had a lot of pain lately, so my training's been limited. But I went Friday to the National Center and trained. And, of course, it's just like you guys. We have International Max Out Friday. so there were some new guys in the gym that recognized me from YouTube videos. And, they've seen me train on the YouTubes, and they get in there and watch us train, and they're watching everybody else lift, and they're just in amazement. And then I'm over there struggling with 50, 60, and 70 kilos. I mean, frustrated, sweating, and it's hard work because it's flexibility. I'm trying to get down into position. I'm trying to find the technical thing. And, it drives me insane for these people who have seen me on YouTube, probably making a big squat or a big deadlift or something. And now they see me in the gym here. They probably think I've got fake plates at my gym. So, even the little kids that are half my body weight are beating me, very, very badly. So, but, I've got to have faith in my programming. I've got to have faith that, that the 70 kilo snatches and 75, I did 80 or 80. I did 85. I did a good, proper 85 snatch today. I've got to have faith that it's just adding those 1 or 2 kilos a week is going to end up with me on stage somewhere, doing a nice, beautiful, perfect snatch. And you're absolutely right that that's got to be my goal, and I have to appreciate that those are my PRs.
Yeah. Well, I know that you got a few questions on Facebook about this episode that people wanted you to answer. Do you have any of those on you, or?
The big one that I was looking at, of course, my training partners are on here. They're busting my chops, asking me what do I do for traps. People ask me this all the time, and of course, I don't do any body part training. It's like asking me what I do for biceps. I lift Atlas stones and flip tires for biceps. Let me see. Planned progression for the beginning athlete. Man, that's a really, really good one. As far as me, I can sit down and write up a plan, and I've got some great coaches that have really helped me out over the last year. And the biggest thing for me is I can have a rough idea, but I can't have a plan when I go in the gym, because one day my technique is here, and the next day it's literally like they invented a new alphabet and nobody told me. And I'm in the gym trying to snatch, and I walk away thinking, man, I don't know how to do anything. I don't know. That was my biggest fear getting on stage at nationals this year. Was what if I walk on the platform and I have one of those days where I forget how to snatch?
You end up doing a split snatch when you're supposed to do a regular snatch, or
well, now
that happens to everyone.
I did split snatch for almost a third of a week, and it was impressive. I'll just leave it at that. I really showed off my dancing skills that those 2 or 3 days, but no, it's a big fear. I think it's getting up there and not having that. But as a beginning lifter, I think the only thing you need to do is go in the gym and just have a goal to be technically better today than you were the day before. And you've got to monitor your body and your recovery ability and know what you're going to do.
Yeah, that following something like that, especially when it comes to the lifts, actually snatching and clean and jerking I think that's great advice. I think you could. I feel like you have more freedom with like squats and pulls as far as strengthening exercises, because that's a much faster learning curve as far as learning the correct technique for a specific sport. Yeah.
Well, I guess moving on to another topic, I guess everyone has been asking questions. They know that you're open about your knowledge of steroids and supplementation. I admire the fact that you're open and you're out there with all of that. And I guess someone asked, what would be the difference for chemical use in Olympic lifting versus strength training?
Well, but before we get there, I want to make sure that everyone really, really understands my take on everything with that. And it seems that people will watch a lot of my YouTube videos that deal with chemicals and substances. And they completely miss the point that I have and the idea that I preach. And that is health is first, no matter what. That it doesn't matter how big you are and how strong you are or what you can lift if you're 6 feet under the ground. And the first time you have any kind of side effects from whatever you put in your body, legal or illegal, your lifting will decrease. The numbers that you will lift will decrease. And everything that you put in your body is going to have side effects. So that's I hope that people really take that away from my message when I talk about it, is safety first, be knowledgeable, and don't forget that if you're not on the planet Earth, doesn't matter how much you lifted. When it comes to the chemical side of everything, I think that in weightlifting, it does make a difference, but it does not make near the difference as it does with powerlifting and with strongman. I'm not going to say there are not guys at World's Strongest Man that are clean. I've had a few friends. I've had several clients at World's Strongest Man in the finals. None of them were clean. I've had several friends that were at the finals of World's Strongest. Not several. I've had two, and both of them have told me that they were either clean or close enough. I don't know how you want to interpret that. The thing with powerlifting, really one of the easiest ways just to get stronger is to put yourself in an anabolic state. And that is either through chemicals or through food. And both of those produce an anabolic state. Just imagine, a bunch of pluses going into your body. More pluses going in than minuses leaving. It really is a very easy way to get strong just through chemical use. With weightlifting, it really is different because you have, what is the most important thing in weightlifting? If you had to make the choice between strength and technique, I'm a really strong guy.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you gotta be able to be flexible and technical to make the lift. So
right, and there's nothing you can put in your body that's going to improve your technique. There's nothing you're going to put in your body that's going to improve your technique. But the difference, I'm trying to think of the absolute best way to say everything and not sound like a really, really bad guy. But when you look at weightlifting, the majority of the time you have people that are competing in a tested federation, in a tested sport, and they get there. And, we can put everything on the side about whether people are beating drug tests or whatever. But the majority of the people are using chemicals in the off season, and let's not say they're clean, but let's say they can be clean enough to pass a test on meet day. So they began with taking a large amount of chemicals, and everything got smaller and smaller and smaller up to the meet day. In powerlifting and strongman, it is the absolute reverse. They began at a very, very small dose, and by contest day, they're on everything under the sun.
Really?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And what it amazes me is when I speak with top level, elite level weightlifters around the world about their chemical use. And they will say, or you hear other guys at the gym will say, oh, this person was taking Anabar, 50 milligrams a day, or this person was taking 30 milligrams a day of D-ball, or this person was taking testosterone. And I'm thinking, in strongman and powerlifting, that's considered drug-free. I mean, that's not even a start when it comes to strongman or powerlifting. So it's you can't really compare them. You really can't compare them. And weightlifting is not built through chemicals. It does make a difference, but it's absolutely not built through chemicals. I don't know if that really answered your question on what it comes through, but it's a completely different thing between weightlifting and powerlifting.
Well, I think that definitely answered a lot of the question.
Yeah, I think that, like, in the United States, there's, especially in the weightlifting community, there's a very, I'm not gonna lie, I do think that doping does help with weightlifting, and of course, I mean, it might not be as extreme as powerlifting or strongman, but people have this idea that you can't even compete with somebody that's doping if you're not doping too. And I think that this, like going over this, just kind of giving people an idea that that's not giving them that much of that advantage. I mean, you can still get better and you still have to put your time in and all that, and that you can be competitive as a weightlifter that's drug-free versus somebody that's doping far out from a competition. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think there's any merit to kind of what?
I think it's absolutely possible. You in any sport, it is. I don't want to say it's impossible, but it's very, very difficult to compare the, let's say, completely natural, not just somebody who can pass a test, but somebody who is completely natural with someone who is using anabolics. It's very, very difficult because that person does have an edge. In weightlifting, we discussed this before. We discussed the optimum number. How many snatches would you take in a week? And I think you said something like 200 reps. You know, what if I told you that with chemical enhancement that you could increase that to 250 quality reps at or above 80% per week? And that could make a huge difference as long as they are quality reps and your body could recover from it. That's more opportunities to get stronger, more opportunities to get more technically efficient. It's a greater opportunity all the way around. Now, let's say we could do the exact same thing on clean and jerk. Let's say you could go from 200 reps at 80% or above per week and make that 250. Now let's talk about the squat. If you really follow a lot of the Russian programming, and a lot of their programming is based around squat and squat strength. Now, the Olympic squat isn't so much determined by anabolics or pure strength, but any of your static strength lifts, your push press, your strict press, anything behind the neck, your squats, your pulls, they're all going to be greatly benefited by any kind of chemical enhancement. So if you're one of those lifters that when your squat goes up, everything else skyrockets, then it's probably going to help you. That said, I've worked with several lifters who have used anabolics and got no stronger whatsoever, mostly because their technique was way off. I've also worked with experienced weightlifters who have used anabolics, and they got very, very minimal benefit. Let's say on average 5 to 7 kilos per lift, and most of that's going to go away once they come off and they can pass a test. I've seen other lifters add 15 kilos to their snatch, 20 kilos to their clean and jerk, elite lifters, and that all goes away when they come off.
Now, so one question I have is in some countries, they don't get tested except for at the World Championships, and here, for instance, like I get tested by USADA on average once a month, sometimes more often, sometimes less often, but it's at random. They know where I'm at when I'm out of town. They know what hotel room number, all that stuff, so they can come at any time. Now, how much? Now, getting clean for one competition a year, 2 competitions a year, versus having to be clean for a random drug test, what difference do you think that would make?
I think it would make a big difference. Let's say hypothetically, I could take you off into the mountains somewhere with your coach, and he could train you underground for 9 months, and you could take whatever you wanted to, and we could really hammer away chemically, and we could get you to where we could add 20 to 30 kilos on both of your lifts. And, you come back down from the mountain, you guys have awesome beards by that point, obviously. And, okay, you're going to lose kilos when you come off and you get clean for the meet, you're going to lose some kilos. But at the end, every year, let's say you've gained 5 to 7 kilos on average on both of your lifts at a minimum. It really does make a difference for athletes that are not getting tested and they are abusing the system. And I'm really, really against abusing the system. And that's, gosh, I could talk an hour about abusing the system. We have, because we have CIADA here, which is, the Cyprus anti-doping agency, and they are the next room to our gym. So we know them well. They see us often. And, we have athletes that get tested just like you guys every 3 to 4 weeks.
Okay.
And so, there's nobody helping us. There's nobody covering up so our athletes can use chemicals in the off season. We've got to do it the legit way. Without mentioning countries or names, I do know that there are several people in top countries across the world, and basically what their country does, their country will test them privately. And if they fail a test, they will just say, why don't you stick around home for the next month or so? Let's not go to this competition coming up because you're going to get tested there and you're going to fail. So instead of the country testing you and you failing within your country and them saying, you now have a 2-year ban, their country will test them and say, okay, let's just not tell anybody about this, and you stay at home and don't go to this next competition. So it saves their lifter. Their lifter gets saved a lot of embarrassment. It saves the country a lot of money in fines, and it really keeps the sport from looking really, really bad. We don't have that here. But that's the rules of the sport. If it is, we have to determine, is it a drug-free sport or is it a tested sport? And to be quite honest, it's a tested sport. It's not a drug-free sport. So we have most of the athletes that are able to pass a test. If doctors were the exact same way as this, and the only thing, if a doctor didn't know really how to practice as being a doctor, he just knew how to pass a test, that's what we're seeing here. I really wish it was more fair across the board. Either they don't test anybody for anything, and let's just say, hey, if you want to come in and take everything under the sun and have a career that lasts about 6 months or a year or 2 years, and then your career is over, then that's your choice. If you want to be competitive all throughout your teens, your 20s, your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and beyond, like I hope to do, then you're going to be smart, you're going to be natural, you're going to stay clean. So, and as someone that's 36 and in the master's class, I've got another 30 years that I want to compete. And you have to have that knowledge that, a flame that burns bright is going to burn out really, really fast. Mm-hmm. And that's the honest truth. I'm not going to put myself through, injuries, and I don't want to have cholesterol that's 1,000,000. I don't want to have high blood pressure. I don't want to have side effects, because if I have that problem now, I have to understand that my career is getting shorter by the day, and I don't want that to happen. I want to compete for the rest of my life. And, that's what I wish I could tell a lot of people that are in their 20s, early 20s. That's what I really wish I could get through their head, is that, you're putting all this crap in your body, and why? Why? Because someday you are going to be 30. Someday you are going to be 36. Someday you're going to be 50. Hopefully you're going to be 50. And if you still want to compete when you're 50, then you need to be taking care of your body.
Yeah, health first.
Yeah, it's interesting stuff. I don't really have, any knowledge on this topic really. So, I just know what a lot of people say in weightlifting, and kind of like really have no basis to know what difference in strength or if you can do more reps, how much better your technique can get. So it is interesting to talk about.
Well, the best advice I would give you guys is to get on the platform. That's it. Yeah. That's absolutely it. Don't worry about anybody else. Don't worry about what somebody else is doing. Don't worry if something else would help you. The other day, somebody asked me in an email what to take to improve their snatch. The quickest answer, take a snatch. Take one with breakfast, take it with lunch, take it with dinner, take it between meals, take it in the mall, take it while you're buying gas, take it in your car, take it in the middle of the street. Take a snatch if you want to improve your snatch. Quit spending all your time worrying about what chemical you should be taking or what somebody else is taking, and get out there on the platform, put your hands around a cold piece of steel and lift some weights. Go get a coach. Quit training in your garage, get in your car, go train with you guys, learn from some real coaches, and get better. And instead of spending all your money on chemicals, go out there and find a coach. Get in your car and go learn from somebody. I can't understand. People will spend money on chemicals, but they won't buy a barbell or a platform for their home. I get really worked up when people start really focusing on that angle of things, because it really is the wrong angle when it comes to weightlifting. Because everything is settled on the platform, so that's where it needs to begin and end.
So you think if you built all of your strength natural, that you would be able to maintain it longer?
Absolutely. Everything is easy come, easy go. And that's just standard. Everything is easy come, easy go. If you build anything over long periods of time, then it's going to stay. So the other thing, you can. I don't know. I'm not really sure if I've answered your question on that, because I want to make sure that I've answered everything properly. But nothing is going to beat. Obviously nothing's going to beat passion and hard work and genetics. We had this conversation about China and the Chinese, and a few weeks ago, somebody else was telling me about some new chemical that they had discovered in China that they're giving all of the young athletes, or they're giving all the athletes in China, and they're turning out all of these super weightlifters. And I went through, I had no idea what chemical they were talking about. It was some kind of new design or drug, and I'm thinking, these kids begin weightlifting when they're about 8 years old. Do you really think they are giving 8-year-olds research chemicals? I don't know. Maybe they are, but probably not.
Yeah, but
what are you going to give an 8-year-old that's going to make him great at weightlifting? And if you're giving them research chemicals at 8, what are the chances of them, still being alive and healthy at 25 to win a gold medal?
Yeah, definitely not. I mean, there's certainly there's definitely ways, like I guess, like there's a ton of ways that the U.S. can get better at lifting. One of them is popularity, just getting a bigger genetic pool.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
And it's happening with you. You guys have such a huge impact on weightlifting in America. I mean, you guys are the guys that we look up to. I mean, I've got it next to my bed at night. I've got a Bible and an American flag. No matter where I live across, the other side of the planet, so I want to be that guy on a platform holding the American flag, or on the podium at the end of the day. And you guys are the guys at the top of the sport. And I mean, you guys are the ambassadors for all the Americans that are listening and keeping up with weightlifting in America. And you guys set an absolutely amazing example in what you do. But we've got to get more people interested. I mean, that's just all it is. They've got 1 million people in China that are training for weightlifting. Not the guys that just go to the gym and snatch and clean and jerk occasionally, not the guys that do CrossFit, but the guys that spend 20, 30, 40 hours a week in the gym trying to become a real weightlifter. Somebody gets hurt, well, we pull up the next guy. I mean, that's all it is. I mean, weightlifting it's the football in America. Everybody, people don't play middle school football hoping to be a millionaire at the end of the year. They play middle school football because everybody at middle school thinks they're awesome if they're playing middle school football. Because when they go down the street, they say, oh, that's that kid. Oh, he made so many tackles and scored a touchdown last weekend. Because the dad feels proud because his son is a football player.
Absolutely.
And when we have that about weightlifting, then that's when we're going to see real progress in America with weightlifting.
Yeah, so I mean, say for instance you take the best weightlifters that we've had and you take their numbers, even if they wouldn't necessarily win Worlds or medal at Worlds, if we had 10 of those lifters year to year, which is possible because we've created those weightlifters, we just need a bigger pool, then we could qualify 6 spots for the Olympics. So before, there's definitely a bunch of stuff that we can do to improve the state of weightlifting in the U.S. without, drugs making that much of a difference, like.
Absolutely.
We can do it. We can get a lot better before that is even an issue.
Right. Absolutely. And I believe from reading on the website, the first step in American weightlifting becoming number one is to buy a bar from Pinlay Barbell. Am I correct?
Yeah.
That's one of the best ways to support the American athletes and to increase the quality of weightlifting in America.
Oh yeah.
Is that something you guys would suggest to everyone?
Oh, I mean, in all seriousness, yeah, I mean, with all the CrossFit gyms opening up, the reason why me and James and the rest of the team are able to do this is because CrossFits are opening up and they're contacting Muscle Driver more often. So, a part of that money goes towards our stipends every month. All the seminar money that for the Penlay clinics and the Catapult clinics goes towards our team, and Yeah, I mean, 100%. Muscle Driver supports us, much like York Barbell did back in the day in Pennsylvania. So
I think it's amazing. I wish, I really wish you guys were paid like true professional athletes. I wish you guys were paid the way you should be. Yeah, I'm not for sure. Money is not going to be. Money is not your motivating factor.
Oh no.
Money is not my motivating factor for sure in the gym. I'm there, for a lot of other reasons. As I know that you are there in the gym for a lot of other reasons, but it definitely is going to motivate some people to get out there and work for it. It would draw some attention if the top 10 lifters in America got $50,000 each. That would really be motivating for people to train hard and to get one of those top 10 slots in America. It would at least create some competition. If you want to go out and be if you want to be in the practice team for the NFL, you don't even get a jersey. You get on the field and they just beat the crap out of you every week in practice. I think it's like $65,000.
Yeah.
You don't even get a uniform. So I think we have that sort of something similar to that in weightlifting. You're going to see a great change in the sport.
Yeah, right now you definitely, as a weightlifter, you have to sacrifice, and money is certainly not my main priority in life. I mean, if it was, for God's sakes, I'd be doing something else. But the two things that I'm most interested in life is health and happiness. And when I was working a 40-hour week job, at a couple different places, I didn't see a whole lot of people who had both. There were some people that had one or the other, but not a lot of people that had both. And I'm so excited that weightlifting and CrossFit is kind of expanding, because I would, more than anything, I feel like I would be healthier and happier coaching weightlifting and owning a gym for the rest of my life than sitting at a desk.
Absolutely. Two things. I have told my fair share of CrossFit jokes. But every Sunday I've got a group of CrossFit guys that come to my gym. So no matter what I want to say about those guys and poke fun at those guys, they're there every freaking Sunday. They get bigger, they get better, they get stronger, and they're studying. You can't take that away from them, because there are a lot of people in weightlifting and powerlifting and strongman that don't do any of that. And the big thing is they don't have the desire to get bigger, better, or stronger, or to study. And I see those guys that come train with me, they do that every single week. And those guys, hope they're listening, they know who they are. And even though I crack jokes at them and poke fun at them, I really appreciate that they are there, and they're kicking butt and taking names. And you're talking about work and happiness and health. One of my clients was emailing me last night, and she just said, hey, isn't it like 4:30 in the morning there? Do you even sleep? And I don't get much sleep, to be honest, but I can't, because all I can think about is I'm going to train tomorrow, and I've got these amazing clients that need my help. And I love to work with I love the people that I work with. And then, tomorrow, I always have that faith that tomorrow is going to be that day where everything just magically goes perfect in the gym. Mm. And I really live on that faith and that belief that tomorrow is that day. It's that next rep. The very next time I touch the barbell, it's like a gambler. This is going to be this is going to be the lift that's going to be perfect, and it's going to change everything. And when it's not, it's that next lift. If I can just do one more. And when I've done all my reps for the day, even if it's a bad day, tomorrow or the next session is just right around the corner, man, having that, there's so many people that don't have that feeling. I look at all of my neighbors, so many of my friends, they don't have that passion. They don't have that feeling of, something great is going to happen tomorrow. I just know it, and that you guys know that, oh so well. And Morgan Ask from Sweden, he's going to be here training with me tomorrow. He's going to be 65 years old next week, 65 years old, and he still goes to the gym every single day. He had hip resurfacing. He's had a major shoulder surgery, and the only thing he can think about is getting back on the platform and competing. The only reason he even works, the only reason he's not retired, is because his job allows him to travel all over the world and train with his friends. And he's 64, 65 years old, and he has this fire every single day. That's all he thinks about and talks about is weightlifting. And everyone thinks he's crazy, but I think he got everything figured out. He figured out what he loves, and he loves to do it. And he wakes up every day, with a smile on his face, and let's go. We've got to eat because eating is part of a purpose, because I'm going to train. I'm going to be awesome today. Today, at 65, he still believes that next rep is the one where the magic's going to happen. Can you imagine doing this sport for 50 years and still believing that next rep is going to be the rep where the magic happens?
Yeah,
it's just amazing, man. And that's what's great about all strength sports, and what I've always loved about different sports, and what I'm learning to love about weightlifting is that same belief that I have in me is the same belief that you have in you. When we meet and we see each other, and your thumbs look just like mine,
Got those
you know what I
bruises.
mean?
Yeah.
And your thighs look just like mine do, and that's just, that's the brotherhood about that sport, and that's everything. You don't even have to say anything. You just know that you have something in common with the person in front of you. That everybody that really does the sport has something in common, and it's not just something physical. It's something down inside, and it keeps us moving. It keeps us going every single day. So, sorry, I get on a rant, but man, I just get so excited.
That was awesome.
And I really, I've had so many health problems. Even this last year, I've had a lot of major health issues, and I really missed no training sessions. I've been to the gym and front squatted in the morning and snatch and clean and jerked at night with an IV in my arm. I refuse. That's the best. When I get to the gym, sometimes that's the only part of my day that is good. That's the only part of my day that I can control, because if I eat and sleep and train properly and use my intelligence when I get to the gym, I can have success there. The rest of my life, I can't control. My wife may come in after having a bad day and she's in a bad mood. My son may come home from school and he may be sick, and that keeps me up all night long. My car may break down. Something major may happen. We've had major financial crises in our country. I can't control any of that. But when I get in the gym, I can control that. And, when you start losing that control, you really start to feel like you've lost your life and everything that's important. And I've really gotten to the point, I lost my opportunity in strongman due to health. I lost and strongman was my first love in strength sports. And, like everybody else, I had that dream to be a world's strongest man. And I was competing with IFSA. And I lost that dream. So I did come back with powerlifting and sort of built a different dream there, but it wasn't my first love. And really, I got to a point about a year and a half ago where I never went to the gym. I didn't want to go to the gym. I went from 4 days a week to 3, from 3 to 2, from 2 to 1, and that one day I really had to drag myself to the gym. And then I got involved with weightlifting, and I have to force myself on Saturdays not to go to the gym. That is my day of rest, and it is the worst day of the week. I sit on the couch. I just mope around the house. I try to take a nap to make the day pass faster. That's all I can think about. It's really been the resurrection of my faith and being a better person and a happier person. And through everything that I've been through the last several years and the last year especially, it gets my mind right every single day, and I'm having fun with everything that I do. I'm a better person. I'm a smarter person. I'm a happier person, and I wake up every day, ready to live life and love life, and that's weightlifting, and that's the barbell. That's my friends. That's learning. I've been training for more than 20 years, and
wow,
I'm just beginning at this sport. And at 20 years, who gets to find themselves on the telephone at midnight with Travis Cooper and James Tatum? How many people you guys may be laughing, but how many people honestly does that happen to get that kind of opportunity, to be able to ask you guys questions and get those answers, to be able to sit down and
looks like we lost Clint. Unfortunately, he was on a
roll on that one.
It was on a roll. I'm going to have to hang up on him and call him back. see if we can get this call back on track.
Yeah, talking about the love of strength sports.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, weightlifting, it's the one thing that's been constant in my life over the last 10 years. So, I love the sport. All right, we got you back, Clint.
I'm sorry. I went off on a real big tangent. I just, really, my wife is qualified for European Masters, and just the people that I've been able to meet after being involved 20 years in weight training, it's just phenomenal, and it's heart touching, and it's an opportunity that I think either people don't get or they don't realize that it's out there. And you guys are so easy to contact and approach and to go train with. Anyway, all I can do is, I can hope that you guys have the same blessings that I've had through my life and through the last year.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, definitely one of the reasons why I stuck with weightlifting is that when you go to national meets, it's like it's your only opportunity sometimes to see some of your best friends. And that really kept me in the sport. And then over time, being able to have the opportunity to win meets or the opportunity to win medals, that kept me in it too. But for the most part, in the beginning phases and even now, going to meets, I just look forward to seeing my friends.
Yeah, kind of the community.
You know what? We might be having some internet issues. We lost him again.
I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. We just couldn't hear you for a second, but yeah. But so absolutely. I mean, weightlifting. I think that's one thing that CrossFit's pretty cool in a way because I was kind of in the weightlifting bubble, the Olympic lifting bubble, and I knew everyone in that sport. But, to be honest with you, I didn't know who Louis Simmons was or, who these gymnastics guys that teach gymnastics certs were, who you were, who these strongmen were. I was just an Olympic weightlifter, and I think CrossFit has done an awesome job like introducing niche sports to each other.
Absolutely. That's amazing. That's I've met even so many guys locally, and of course Oksana was here last week, and she'll be back again soon. And she just took, I believe she took 4th place at the Battle of London on Saturday, Sunday this past weekend. I don't know how many athletes were there, and I believe she won 4 of the events, and somehow finished in 4th. I'll know more really, really soon. So I'm going to do a lot of teasing with her that she's now doing CrossFit, but even for her to get out there and be able to do that and to meet so many people and the opportunities that's come to her. It's like, you said you didn't know a lot of people in different sports. I sit down with Norik Vardanian and, to do an interview and just talking with him. And he's like, well, my father. And I'm like, no, I have no idea who your father is.
Yeah.
You know my father, Jurk? I'm like, I really know. I've never heard of him. And he's like, wow, you're the first person who's ever said they don't know my father. I'm like, I don't know. I know you.
He probably thought you were a huge dick.
I met Norik about half an hour before that. I know you, but I don't know who your dad is.
Mm-hmm.
And man, that's another great thing when it comes to the bar. But everybody's equal in front of the bar. There's the bar doesn't know money. It doesn't know bad days or good days or what kind of car you drive. It doesn't even care what kind of shoes you wear. The money can't buy numbers on the platform, and that's absolutely amazing.
Well, I think it's kind of funny because we talk about, in the past, in the 60s, say if a new weightlifting technique was developed in Europe, only the top lifters would see those lifters lift. There was no YouTube. There was none of that.
Right.
And before CrossFit, I think there's tons of things that powerlifting can learn from Olympic lifting, weightlifting
Absolutely.
can learn from powerlifting and strongman. And without having that median to bring us together, I think in the future, having all of us talk together, we're going to expand our training approaches and our individual sports differently in the future. So
yeah,
absolutely.
Finally see some advancements in training programs. And this is all speculation at this point, but
CrossFit united all these other sports just to all make fun of CrossFitters, and that's how they united all the other sports.
I was about to disagree with you until you threw that part in there.
Yeah.
At the end. Actually, I think beards have really pulled a lot of us together over the last year.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just lazy. James started the whole beard trend here. But yeah.
Oh, yeah. Mine's getting a little crazy. I think it's been like almost 4 months, and I haven't touched it.
Oh man.
So I mean, I even watched your video, Clint, about beard care and like what to do, like if your wife's getting mad at you.
Very important.
You use the beard as leverage.
Of course.
Oh.
That you laugh, but that is so key.
Oh,
that
no.
is so key.
Yeah, Travis doesn't know because he's not married.
No, I'm not married.
So much to learn. So much to learn.
Yeah.
Stephanie does say some funny things to James sometimes. That's James's wife.
Yeah. It's once it got
does she like your beard?
She doesn't like it right now, where it's really long. But I always find some way to keep it. I'd be like, oh, I can't do it until this next competition, because then, I mean, I gotta have my beard for the competition, you know.
Of course.
It's funny because she's like, I don't know why everyone thinks that the reason why James is strong is because of his beard. You know, she's like, he's strong. She's like, he doesn't need that beard all the time and stuff like that. And and he's
Does
like,
she lift weights?
well, I don't know if James is wanting to convince her to grow out a beard to get stronger, but.
Oh, wait a second. I must have missed something here. Nope.
No, you have to be willing to do anything for success. Anything. And if she doesn't understand that you are growing a beard so that you guys can have a better future together, then I don't know what to tell you, man.
I know. I found a way to keep it for 4 months though, so I think I'm doing pretty good.
So the idea is to schedule a meet every 4 months?
You know, that's a good idea. I think we got the Arnold in 6 weeks, and then after that, maybe
we could
2
turn
months.
that into an ebook right there.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
What's the ebook? The Power of the Beard.
Well, it's got to be something with programming, with training programming, programming for meets and proper beard growth.
All right,
or how to keep your beard year round.
Yeah, that's something a lot of people don't see. I guess is the difference in the season as far as like how
beards are in. It's a big thing right now. It's a big deal.
Oh, you know what I heard? I heard the guy on what's that show where they have those big beards?
Duck Dynasty.
Duck Dynasty. I heard one of those guys got kicked out of a New York hotel because they thought he was a homeless guy. I guess because of his beard. That must have been a fun talk when they finally found out who he was. But
that's I had no idea what that show was until I came back to the States this summer and I saw all the T-shirts in Walmart. But I'm thinking, well, what are all these guys with beards on it? And I watched a couple of the shows. It's an interesting show. But I was actually it was a week after Christmas. I was in a local's toy store here, and one of the kids asked their father why Santa Claus was at the store the week after Christmas.
Yeah.
So that was an interesting conversation to have. I just told him I was getting ready for next year.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Yeah, it's crazy how popular that show got, and how it almost was part of the driving fuel of why beards kind of came back on the in. I don't know. I feel like Glenn Pendlay's always had his beard, and then once I joined the team, I was kind of the next person on the team that actually had a beard. And then we kind of started being known as like the team with all the beards. And then slowly but surely we started convincing everyone on the team. Caleb Whitby started growing one. Travis is even growing a decent beard. I haven't seen too many pictures of him before he moved out here without a beard. And then you got Tom with his beard and all that too. So I mean, I think it's we kind of started a good good vibe with our team is being the bearded team.
Well, I don't know.
I like it.
The next time you see, I don't know. The whole idea with a beard, you see a lot of fighters that won't shave when they're getting ready for, a fight, and they'll shave the night before the fight. The whole idea with a beard is if you had time to shave, you really should have used that time more wisely, and you should have been training or preparing for the next training session. They actually have a thing here, growing your beard out is a sign of mourning. After someone that you love passes, there's a lot of things that you don't do for a long time. In 6 months, you don't shave, you don't watch television, you don't listen to the radio, you wear black, because the idea is I shouldn't have time to shave because I'm in mourning over the loss of this person. So, I don't know, maybe, if you have someone that always shows up to the gym every day clean shaven, they're probably not prepared. They probably have not spent the time wisely getting prepared for the next training session. Just my opinion.
Now, kind of a new topic, I guess. One thing we haven't touched on, not to switch gears too much, but we didn't talk to you at all about nutrition. So, I mean, what are your thoughts on nutrition? Obviously, you're a super heavyweight, you're a strongman, power lifter, all that kind of stuff. So, when we talk about nutrition for strength training, what are your thoughts?
And I've had a major shift with this. I have ulcerative colitis, and the best way to describe that is I've had diarrhea at least 6 times a day since 2006. So, my food shift, my ideas on nutrition have greatly changed with the health issues that have came along with that. Prior to that point, I would say that I had not been without 3 to 4 pounds of meat every single day for about a decade. That was pretty much the norm for me, and I think that's norm for most amateur powerlifters, most amateur strongmen for sure. When it comes to weightlifting, I don't think your body needs that much protein. I don't think you need that much to recover from. I really think with what I'm learning, and this is probably going to change. I hope it's probably going to change consistently throughout my training career with weightlifting, was that things like quality foods, vitamins, minerals, eating the best choices that you can possibly find is very important for weightlifting. Where it's quality of food is not that important when it comes to powerlifting and strongman. Quantity is really, really important. Mm-hmm. I can't remember not having 6,000 to 8,000 calories a day whenever I was training for strongman. I really can't remember days like that. Having 1,000 grams of carbs per day was normal. And that was just something that happened every single day. I can't remember, with powerlifting and strongman, 7 meals a day, and every single meal I had to force feed. I thought I was going to puke, and I was sweating and very uncomfortable. And I don't think that's necessary when it comes to weightlifting. I'm not for sure what kind of difference that is going to make, because so much of, in strongman, you've got 2 classes. You've got under 105 kilos and over 105 kilos.
Yeah.
So there are very few people actually trying to make weight. The key to the game is just get stronger. In powerlifting, you do have people making weight, but you're talking a 24-hour weigh-in. I've had a number of clients that'll easily lose, let's say, 20 pounds the week before the meet, just cutting water, and they'll gain 18 to 22 pounds back in the next 12 to 24 hours after they get off the scale. Mm-hmm. So it's not the same. Whereas, when you compete in weightlifting, you've generally got a 2-hour weigh-in. So you get on the scale 2 hours before you step on the platform.
Yeah, you can only lose, not
much.
Yeah, maybe 4 kilos max. I mean, that'd be within a couple days, just because you can only hydrate yourself at a liter an hour.
Absolutely.
So by the time you're clean and jerking, if you had dehydrated yourself 4 liters, you'll be fully hydrated by the time you're clean and jerking. But, then you're going to be depleted for the snatch. So
absolutely,
you can't do the same thing.
The big thing with a lot of the guys that I train with here is I rarely see them eat, and it's a lot of junk food. A lot of guys, even like the Swedish national team came here, and I was really surprised. We go out to eat, and they eat, a standard meal at a restaurant, and there's, oh my gosh, I'm so full, and all I can think is that's just a starter. I mean, that's you've got if you're going to be strong. I mean, it takes tons and tons and tons of food. But they're stronger than me on the snatch and clean and jerk. So, maybe they know something that I don't. Maybe it's not really needed. There's not as much muscle fiber breakdown as there is with strongman or powerlifting. Or maybe the solution so often in powerlifting is just get bigger.
Yeah.
Just gain weight. And you're, to a point you are going to get stronger. And that's not really often always the case. Or there's going to be, it is going to have its diminishing returns in weightlifting, but it's not always the case.
Well,
I really think that people could learn a lot if they had to eat like a power lifter or had to eat like a strongman. But I don't know how much it's going to benefit them.
Yeah, I mean, in weightlifting, once you've filled out your weight class, and obviously you can always optimize your body composition in it, so diet is important in that way. But at a certain point, if you've maximized, your body mass, you're really just teaching your muscles to recruit. You're not really adding muscle. You're teaching your muscles how to work to do the lifts.
Yeah,
correct.
More efficient neural patterns and
right.
So it really, a lot of it happens in the brain.
Absolutely. Well, I tell people all the time that weightlifting is so much just like it's like shooting free throws. It's just we're going to make it a really heavy basketball. And then once you've made that shot, we're going to make give you a heavier basketball, and we're going to make it farther away from the goal. But it doesn't take a whole lot to recover from shooting free throws. But you definitely got to have, even if you're just shooting free throws, you got to have quality nutrition, you got to have quality clean foods, you got to have vitamins and minerals and things like that.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. I've heard it said before that like when people are going for like a new PR, let's say a snatch, they're not like, oh, you need to get stronger to snatch this. What they say is like, okay, now you need to learn how to snatch this. And it might be like they might be a good lifter. Like for Travis, he can snatch 155 kilos, and then they'd be like, all right, now you have to learn how to snatch 157.
Right.
Like,
yeah, it's a different skill. The closer it gets to your ultimate strength levels, so it becomes a timing thing. So it's going to take longer to get the bar from the floor to your hips. So if you're used to lifting at a certain speed, you have to be a little more patient. You have to feel it at those max attempts.
Well, I've got two training partners. One is from the School of Bulgaria weightlifting. The other one trained with Yakovo in Greece. So when they come train with me, their training programs are greatly different. Mm-hmm. My Bulgarian training partner wants to max every day. My Greek training partner, I mean, he's got so many sets and reps and sets and reps and it's a ton of work. I think, when I trained my Bulgarian partner, it took me like 7 reps or 10 reps to get up to a personal record. With my Greek training partner, I think my PR was my 24th rep of the day. And of course, as soon as I hit it, he walks over and says, okay, it doesn't count unless you can do it again. But, my Bulgarian training partner, his whole idea is that with every 1 kilo that you add to the bar, the technique is different. So it doesn't do you very good to learn perfect technique with 90%, because that technique is going to be different than the technique and speed and timing you're going to have with 100%. I'm not saying he's correct. I really don't know. It obviously works for him. And I can't really train that way. So he does most of his training at 95% or better. And his whole plan is you work up to that and do your best, finish off with some front squats and come back in the afternoon.
I definitely agree that somewhat, like, your position shouldn't change between lifts. However, in order to get in the same positions, as the implement gets heavier, as the snatch gets further away from your body weight, the center of mass becomes pulled forward, so you have to put more weight back, and your technique does have to change a little bit. So your position shouldn't change, but the pressures you're putting on your body to get in those positions has to change.
Well, as you said, it shouldn't change, but with the majority of the population, somehow it still does. Because, we're not perfect, or we don't have that timing or the perfection. And what you see at world records is that guy who put everything together magically perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't do that. My gosh, when I go from 75 to 80 kilos, everything seems to go out the window, or not 75. When I add an extra couple of kilos to the bar, it's like a completely different lift. It feels to me like everything has changed, because something's breaking down somewhere. So it's amazing the different training styles and and what happens.
Every weightlifter trains differently. So, yeah, and that's one of the first things when we talk about programming in our seminars or with clients, like we explain the reason, and we believe most of it's cultural. Training programs kind of come up because they fit the cultures and values of those societies. So, and world champions have come from all different variations of training. So who's to say one is so much superior to the other one?
Absolutely.
It's just kind of like, but what they all did is everybody at the top, they trained their asses off, and that, they really went for it over a period of X amount of years. So.
Well, that's so key. I think, the next time you guys give a seminar, just walk out there and say, okay, go train your butts off for 20 years and come back and see me in 20 years. I mean, that's really so much of the solution is, spending the time and making the lift and learning and trying to figure out what's going on and what's, being able to analyze your body and figure out, make adjustments here, make adjustments there. But man, you're absolutely right on. That's the key. Get out there and work your butts off, smart as you can, as hard as you can.
So I guess we only have a few more minutes. We're going to have to start wrapping up the episode. Any last words or advice for people wanting to get into strength sports, whether it's weightlifting, strongman, whatever?
Just start with something, go out and figure out what you love to do and just do it the best you can. And no matter if you're a beginner or you're at you're world class, approach every lift with, a fire in your heart and finish every lift with a smile on your face. And I think if you can manage to do that, you're going to be pretty good at the end of the day. Just have fun, pick something, learn, never stop learning. If I would have stopped learning the first time I had any kind of difficulties in training, I would have quit a long time ago. But I have no intentions of quitting anytime soon.
All right. Well, you got any plugs to wrap this up with? Obviously, you have your website. You work with clients.
Yeah, I've actually pretty full with clients actually, and I don't have many clients when it comes to weightlifting because I'm not that skilled with weightlifting unless they need help with nutrition or just getting stronger in the gym. But you guys can always go to clintdarden.com and send me any kind of questions, comments. I love to get the comments from people that I make a lot of YouTube videos. I've got almost 1,700 YouTube videos, and I rarely get the occasional comment. Somebody says, "Hey, man, I appreciate it. The things that you say and do really make a difference." So, hey, if you're watching my YouTube videos, if you're, keeping up with the photos that I post on Facebook or Elite FTS, and hopefully I'd love to be able to work with you guys more in the future. Please, guys, just drop me a line through my website and, let me know that what I'm doing makes a difference.
Well, definitely, James.
Yeah, well, I definitely enjoy watching your videos. I spent last week a good bit of time watching those. I mean, that's when I watched the beard video that we were talking about earlier. But yeah, definitely, I would recommend for people to go check out your videos because you got some good ones in there.
I appreciate it. I really hope, I want you guys to know that you're always, you have an open invitation here in Cyprus to come and train. We have lots of good facilities here in the country. We've got I know of 2 amazing training facilities just for weightlifting within a 40-minute drive of each other. We have amazing coaches, amazing athletes. My gym is in the middle. We're in the process over the next 2 weeks. We're trying to get some new bars, putting down a platform, fixing the roof, putting locks on the doors, We've already got a guard dog outside, but we're trying to make my place a place where you can actually come and do proper weightlifting. So, and there are no dues at the House of Biceps. All I ask is that people come and they leave the place a little better than it was when they got there. So, I really hope to have you guys there one day.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, that'd be quite the trip. Good to get away for a little bit. So I appreciate the invitation.
Bring your shorts.
Oh yeah, it's cold up there.
Mediterranean weather. I'm looking forward to it.
I don't even think I own a pair of shorts. I always train in sweatpants. Most of the time, I wear my dress shoes to the gym with my sweatpants because naturally everyone makes fun of me. So I just started doing it more often just because.
But with a 155 snatch, people can't really make that much fun of you, can they?
Well, a lot of the other guys snatch pretty close to that in the gym, so. But,
no, it doesn't matter what you lift. You're not exempt from getting made fun of.
I figure the biggest thing is, I got to get to that 200 kilo clean and jerk. That's my big thing. Then I feel like even if people make fun of me, screw them. I know that I did that.
Well, you had, was it 196? Was that what you had?
I cleaned 198 at the American Open.
198, holy cow.
So it's getting there. I got a couple more kilos to go. I feel like once I can get over that 200 kilo barrier, I don't know, for some reason those round numbers, it takes years to get past them. And then if you can just pass it, you can get a couple more kilos.
Just skip 200. That's my solution. Do 199 and then go to 201.
Yeah. That's if I can get to 199 again.
Well, yeah.
Just go straight to 201. My theory is if you're going to miss with a really big weight. So if you get to the end of the day and both of you miss, he who misses with the heaviest weight wins.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So anyways, to the listeners out there, Clint told me to start writing more stuff last week when we had this meeting. So I wrote a couple blogs on the weightliftingscoop.com. I wrote one called The 5 Love Languages of Coaching. It kind of comes from the book, The 5 Love Languages, but I think you can relate it to coaching and coaching different athletes because different athletes respond to different, they feel loved by you, for lack of a better term, in different ways. And building a relationship with your athletes is very important. So there's also lots of other blogs on there. Check out my website, Dozer Strength, and tweet us at WLiftingScoop. James, you got anything?
If you want to follow me on Instagram, James Tatum USA, and then Facebook, feel free to add me as a friend. Ask me any questions you guys want to.
Well, anyways, Clint, thanks again. We look forward to having you again, hopefully sometime in the future. As
appreciate it, guys. It's an honor for me. It really is an honor for me.
As you continue to do weightlifting, and maybe your perceptions will change on different things that can help weightlifters, and the differences in weightlifting and strongman, you'll just learn more. So hopefully we can get you back on.
Sounds great, man. I'm ready when you guys are.
All right. Thanks, Clint.
Appreciate it.